Now, to talk more about web entrepreneurship in Africa, let's bring in Kunle Campbell, advisor and customer acquisition expert working with direct-to-consumer e-commerce brands. Welcome to the show.
Hello there. Hi there.
Now, how is the e-commerce industry shaping up across the African continent?
It's taken off quite well. There have been obviously challenges right across the board. So for more sophisticated markets such as South Africa, e-commerce is becoming more mature. They've learnt a lot from the West, from America and the US. And if you look at like Africa's biggest population, Nigeria, there are two major players, Jamia.com, which is run by German, well, it's more or less a German venture capitalist firm, and a local company called Konga.com. They have to, unfortunately, manage their entire infrastructure, their logistics, just due to just challenges in logistics and infrastructure. And that is the case in many African countries, but Kenya seems to be taking a lead, both from internet penetration, their tech scene, and also just due to the fact that they're well ahead from a mobile commerce standpoint. So we have to understand that there are 1.2 billion people in Africa, and mobile penetration rates in Africa is about 600 million. So just half of Africa have mobiles, and where e-commerce is eventually going to emerge will be via mobiles, not computers. So we're going to skip that desktop phase, which here in the West, in America, they went through from the 90s through to about 2009, 2010, where now we have always been in the mobile age, which skips that, and we'll see what goes on.
Now, Kunle, you mentioned Jamia, which actually became Africa's best funded e-commerce startup, and there's been lots of comparisons to Amazon. Can we expect more success stories to follow?
I'm very bullish on African e-commerce. Jamia seems to have plateaued from reports I've read. However, there is opportunity, huge opportunities. The huge opportunities in logistics, building out infrastructure to fulfill, and if that is a basis for more a FETS or marketplace platform, we will be onto something. So if you look at Taobao of China, which is part of the Alibaba group, and its success, they're a platform in which people can sell for free, totally for free, and they just have an advertising model, kind of like Google AdWords. What you will find is that if we could do something like that in Africa, then we would be able to connect consumers to farmers. We could connect consumers to businesses.
Right.
There's so much opportunity. So Jamia is more, they own their supply chain. They own not just their supply chain, they own their inventory. Or they initially started out owning their inventory, kind of like how Amazon started out, and they soon eventually realized that they needed to create marketplaces. So I believe the future of Africa really lies in marketplaces, we need the infrastructure.
Sorry, Kunle, I do want to get to this concept of homegrown businesses and local partnerships. How important are they?
They're absolutely important. I believe Africa has a lot of talent, huge talent, and if we can synergize with emerging markets, look at opportunities look at more or less use cases from emerging markets rather than looking at more developed markets to see how we can pretty much skip or jump the hoops to actually to actually growing e-commerce. I think it's not going to be an outsider, or we should sort of Africanize e-commerce in one sense. So we need to take the expertise from the outside,
Right.
and synergize with local startups.
Now, Kunle, we know that the UN says it wants to build a continent-wide e-commerce platform to really expand on the region's enterprises. What sort of impact could that have, and what could some of the challenges be?
I'm more a fan of local initiatives, by local entrepreneurs. I think it'd be huge. Connecting the continent, there are obviously language, barriers. I think we should look at things more regionally initially, and then expand. I think there are about 52 countries in the African continent with thousands of languages. Obviously, they're generally, they're major languages on there. But I think we could sort of start out small and then scale. Start out with small use cases in particular regions, and then scale and really interconnect. The entire continent. It's almost like building an intercontinental railway. Railway infrastructure. If you think about it, but this time, it's digital and it's commerce. But for it to actually be a success, we need to sort out logistics in Africa,
Right.
To make it world class.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your insights. We'll have to leave it there. Kunle Campbell, advisor and customer acquisition expert.